Okay, good morning, R2. How you guys doing? It's Sunday morning for me. A little bit past Sunday morning, it's almost noon. But I am gonna talk about our project this week. We're gonna be doing an ink drawing. Now, I'm gonna show you of what we're doing. We're basically doing a stack of books. We're dealing with the art element of space. If you were looking downward, this is really overlapping, but really we're doing a 2 point perspective beneath the horizon line. The horizon line is going to go here, and the books are going to be set up. Now, if you notice the handout, here's the handout. Some of you guys do not have dip pens. Some of you guys might just have a ballpoint ink. So if you don't have one, you can use a ballpoint ink. That will work pretty good. Here's a ballpoint ink. Blue, it's okay. Don't go crazy. Don't go with red, but you want to go with black because in case it dries up, you have another ballpoint ink pen. But for this assignment, I would advise you to use a fill tip. And I do have my fill tips. And if you don't, again, if you cannot remember what a fill tip is, give me a second. I understand we have a lot of stuff in our minds, and let me go into my bag of pens. So, like I said, if you want to use a black ballpoint ink pen, that's a good substitute due to the situation. But if you have a fill tip, that'll be much better. So, we're going to need a pencil, ballpoint ink pen like this. We're going to mix both stippling and cross hatching and hatching. Let me pull it out from my bag of supplies for my briefcase. I believe this is it. Here's one. So this is a fill tip. See that? As you can see, my ink's pretty dry and pretty quick in here. So I'm going to look for another one I had in here. I saw another ballpoint ink. I might just have to do it ballpoint ink with you guys. It's part of life. So I noticed my fill tip, another fill tip. So this one's kind of drying too. There's not much ink down here as I can tell. And the reason is we usually use a calligraphy pen. Now I do have calligraphy. The reason is I'm not going to do it as a sample because you guys are doing this at home. And where are the extra pens I had? Good heavens! So it's funny when you're going through the bag of supplies. I see like three of them pop out or two, and all of a sudden they're not there anymore. So, anyways. I think, nope, that's not it. Oh boy, I really do need that. Okay, so how are we going to do a picture of this? This is our real life model. Okay, before I go back to the worksheet, and let me get my pens ready. So, and the ruler, we're going to need a ruler too. We're going to need a ruler first, a pencil. So let's get this stuff ready. Pencils, I have pencils here. I got some pens, which I'm going to use, a ruler, and you can check out the handle. Now, the reason is I'm going to show you some old-fashioned books. If you go to the bookstore today, it's hard to find unless you go to an antique store. And I just noticed this. I got to do a little restoration here on this book. What the heck? That rip happened? Okay, so these are called ribs. So the heavy string. This was usually done with the muscle throats of horses, as you can see here. And this other string. So it looks, if we rip that open, it will look something like this. This is a cheaper book. Modern day, closer to modern day binding, much more. I kind of just taped it together because it's falling apart, but I just realized that so leather does deteriorate, and you do have to restore it. Um, one of the few old, let me pull a very old book I have here, compared to, it's older than the United States Constitution. It was printed during the time of Louis XIV on heraldry. As you can see, here they are. This is where the bone goes. More than likely, it's a fish bone, but the strings that are holding it together are the vocal cords of horses, and the other strings as well, probably, whatever local hemp, whatever local material was used, it was probably done in the province of France. If I crack this open, so imagine you're having these models, a model like this in front of you. Now, if you don't have it in front of you, that's why I put the worksheet in there. Let me tell you where this book was printed in which region of France. Oh boy, I forgot. I keep forgetting. Oh, it's from Lyon. So Lyon, France. So the books will go like this. this is what our finished product should look like. See the picture here. Okay, so we're going to be dealing with the art element of space, as well as, if I am permitted, space. And let me get rid of that little book in there. That's probably why they're all being squeezed together. And they're not happy. They're like, dude, it's like a New York apartment in here. Why are you doing this to us? Oh, I see. That's not a good idea. So I'm going to put that over there, even though sunlight's going to hit it. Okay, I'm moving things around. Put this back in its proper place. Oh my god, that's a lot of dust. That's what I get for living in this part of Los Angeles. Well, even though I lived here for many years, seen a change. So, how do we start with this? Well, I'm going to advise you guys, I'm going to show you a trick that I'll show you here in the handout of this exercise. How do we start with the first step? Let's do it in pencil first. So, what I'm going to do, let me hit the light. So, and where are my pens? I actually have more fill tips, and I don't know where they went. They're probably in some pocket or somewhere. So we're going to start with a pencil right now, and a good eraser, and a ruler. So I'm going to figure out, if I notice this, my horizon line's really not this one, it's actually up here. So I'm going to do a horizon line really high up here to save us time. Here we go, so you guys can see what I'm doing. Let's go up here, because we want to see the top of the books. And we can do buildings like this. You can do, we are the lady who came from, so I'm going to have from FITM talking about interior design. And I talked to you guys, since the person flaked on us from, whatchamacallit, he just couldn't do it. He just overbooked himself, and he wanted to do court sales. So let's talk about how do we do the textbooks. They're really two blocks, rectangular blocks. So I put two vanishing points here on the horizon line. Okay, so I'm going to do a vertical line, probably one right here. Okay, let's just put it right here, closer to my foreground. So we have a little horizon. That's okay. We don't need to focus on. So I got my vertical line here. Can you guys see that? So now I'm gonna flip rulers. I'm gonna go with a transparent one. Let's see if I have a transparent one. Well, I got this broken one, but that will do perfect. So I'm gonna go from this. You're gonna see what's gonna happen right here. See that? Very softly, because I'm gonna erase some of this later on. And I'm gonna ask you guys to mix, if you want to. I would suggest, it's gonna work much better if you mix stippling and hatching and cross hatching together, all three of them together. Hatching and cross hatching are related, yes, I know. So that kind of works, kind of doesn't. If I go further out, so if we go a little bit out, that's the problem, is our horizon line is outside. That could work too. Let me do it this way to help some of you guys out. Okay, so there we go. So I'm going to make the bottom book right now. So I'm going to do another, see that? So now this is the larger book. And I got to make sure this line's parallel to this. And bring it all the way over here so we can have more space. Okay, see that? So I moved the line. Let me erase this so you guys can see that. Can you guys see that? Okay, so I have the two vanishing points. Whoops. Two vanishing points. I did kind of a corner. Now I'm going to do the book top. So I'm going to get a vertical line here in pencil. Another one down here. I'm going to erase this. So this is my first drafting. Okay, so this is going to be my first book. Now, some people actually do this, and but I would say just keep it to the same vanishing point, because it's really harder to do the optical trick. And this is because we're doing. Now, some artists can go outside the frame when they do this. So now I'm bringing it back to this vanishing point right here. Okay. There we go. And then here's our large, whoa, that's a very large book actually. But that could work. Or, bring it down more. So I'll bring it down here. And bring it down here. And do you guys see that? So now I'm going to erase this. I'm going to pretend this is my, I'm doing this with the 2 points, and it looks a little bit off because I'm trying to help you guys out. If you're having some issues with 3D, maybe this is the best way to do it. It's sort of like the safety wheels. See, that's what I'm doing this part of the book cover. This line here to the vanishing point here. I did it it's parallel to this vanishing point right here. Let's check on that. Did that and did that. You see my vanish. I'm going to make a copy of this right now. Give me a second. I'm going to make a copy of this. So while I'm making a copy of that, so I can say that tip, the first step, I should say. I'm still going to look now for my, where are those dip pens I really do need? Not in there. They're not. Is that one? Nope. Oh, good heavens. Where are they? Oh, great. I just left all that stuff all over. Is it in here? Nope. I just stabbed myself. There's an emergency mask. Oh, boy. Where are they? And that's not it. I thought it was. Maybe I have it in here. Nope. And I can show you guys how to use a ballpoint too, but I felt much comfortable with the felt tip. So let me see if I got the copy. So it didn't copy it too good. For some reason, my printer doesn't follow those steps. So I'm going to recreate the scene again with you guys. So again, you seen the horizon line, the 2 vanishing points here. This is what I did. I did my. So I'm going to save this right here. See that? Let's go here. Perfect. Vertical line. Make sure it's standing the same as the other one. And I can see I can have to fix this now. See that, guys? So come back to this vanishing point, like I did down here. Bring that in. Okay, and remember I'm doing this with pencil, not ink. Even though you see me do ink, I have to do ink the second showing for 2 reasons, guys. It's not. Let's see. There we go. It stops here. Then it keeps going there. You guys can see that. See that? And now this goes to here. So now why are we doing, I think it'll be easier for you guys to see the work. And then you can see it goes to my vanishing point. There we go. Okay, that's step 1. Let's call this one step 1 in pencil. And it's easier too if we do it this way. So now let's go into step 2. we want to do the top book. Okay, so now it's a little bit off center. It's actually also, um, let's do that. So now measuring this, again, using the same vanishing point. We might just want to change this to another vanishing point here. So I'm going all the way to this corner here, a little bit farther away. So we want to see a little bit more of this guy. So we're going to put the line here like this. See that? Okay, and now what I'm going to do is use this corner. Okay. We might just have to make this a little bit bigger. Okay. Does it have to be exactly like the photocopy? No. I'm going to change my mind again. See that? So, using this, bringing it. I'm going to bring it down a bit more. I don't like the binding. Okay. There we go. Okay, erase some of that. And sorry about the radio. My mom's listening to my wife too. They're into this KCT storytelling program. So, and I'm going to put the line here this way. Okay, now remember, I'm going to have a book cover too. So we want to bring that up here. Now, this is architecture stuff, believe it or not. It's not, I'm not being wasted. Whoops. The line should go again to this vanishing point over here. There we go. Okay, so bring this over here too, right here. And you're going to see a lot of lines crossing over right now. And this book's going to be a little bit off, but I still want to see part of the cover. It's on top of the other book. Can you guys see that? And then I'm going to bring it back to this vanishing point. This is a smaller book that goes on top. It's kind of a rule to put always smaller books on top if you can. And some of you guys are going to be going off to college. So bring this up here. So it'll be parallel. Okay. Now, can you guys see the books? Now, is it exactly like, no, you know, I want you guys to take some independence, some autonomy. You know, you don't have to place it 100% exact, but if you're 90% close to it, and that's all, you know, that's good. You're making it your own. So now I have, if you notice here, I have my pages here. So I'm trying to make this a little bit more parallel to this line. Then I'm going to do my wrinkle lines here. Now I notice I haven't finished the book down here. So this portion is going to have a broken, this is going to bend. This is we call the spine in the book. Okay, here we go. They do curve. So this one's going to curve too. So this one's in good shape, the book up here. So the sheets of paper are going to go this way. And I'm going to thicken this a bit more. So using the ruler again, I'm going to bring this down here. And I'm doing this in pencil because I'm going to trace all of this later on in ink. I really don't need these lines anymore. I feel like they're the lines that hold the marionette. A marionette's a puppet you hold with strings. A puppet is basically the hand goes inside the puppet, but a marionette is controlled by strings, and I don't want it doing that. So now I'm going to flip this, make this the book cover little by little. The book on top is actually now looking a little bit more in 3D. So we can do that. Grab my ruler again. And here we go. So let's do the book that's in good shape. Maybe these books are at a book binder. And they don't have them out here. And you know, we used to have them, believe it or not, out here. We used to have a lot of bookstores when Palmdale and Lancaster wasn't that big, and smaller movie theaters, but choices, and the movies change. But times have changed, and the community has changed. So here we go. So I'm doing the spines, and we did have a guy who used to repair books. Surprisingly, a lot of family Bibles he used to tell us. He used to like repairing art books because he said he didn't have to read. It wasn't they weren't Bibles, and he started taking French because of that one of the books I showed you. And my father goes, "Yeah, I'll loan you the book if you want to." And he was nice enough to return it too. And he actually fixed it up a bunch of times. And well, he's no longer with us. So now let's start working on the broken book here at the bottom. So notice how the top is becoming to look like a book. Okay, so let me show you that. So you guys can see how when I'm drawing. Sorry about that. So now what I'm going to do is, this is basically our outline. I'm still working on this first stage. We're going to start doing the ink soon enough. Okay, so now here comes this is the one where we have to start making it look like it's broken. So it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spines. Okay, so it's going to be one spine here. Another spine probably here. So if you ever go to AVC, Tilo Valley College, they might have a section with critique books, and they have binding like this too if you ever want to see them. Or even at Cal State Northridge. And this part's going to be broken too. But as I noticed, there's going to be a rib here, but something went bad here. It's broken. You're going to see the sheets of paper. We're going to see this, and it's going to go this way. Okay, broken lines here. And sadly, this section is also breaking down. Okay, and there might be another rib here. We can't see that's holding it together. And we're going to have sheets of paper too, so it's going to go this way too. So this book is in really bad shape. The leather cover is breaking apart. So you guys can see that. Maybe make it look 3D. I'm going to trace this later on. And right here, I'm going to see the sheets of paper. So now, since I'm down here, I am going to do the book, the cover of the first book. Right here, okay. This is going to be the sheets of paper. Again, from that vanishing point. I'm going to line it up as you guys can see that. Or let's just go this direction. Okay, bring it down here. Some people do this. And I've made some mistakes doing that in the past. Okay, there we go. So this is going to be where my sheets of paper are going to go. And it's going to break in. Here are the sheets of paper. This is my book cover down here. And bringing it to this vanishing point, the book cover just might come a little bit out here. There we go. Perfect. Now, sorry about that, so you guys can see it. So now bringing this here. There we go. Okay, so these are my sheets of paper. The lines are going to go this way. I'm going to see the broken lines here. And I'm going to be going this way too. Especially all the pointy tips I have here. Why am I not going straight through? It's because I want these sheets of paper to overlap. From a distance, they look like they're overlapping. Whoops. So now that I've done this, I'm going to do the cover. Okay. And bringing it to this vanishing point again. There we go. And there it is. There is my book cover. And as you guys can see, there are the sheets of paper. And I'm going to bring this line here. I'm done. I think I'm pretty much done with the pencils now. Pretty much done with these guys. Now I'm going to say goodbye to the pencil. Say goodbye to it. Say goodnight to it. And now I'm going to bring in either the ballpoint ink or the fill tip. Now, if we were in the classroom, we would be doing this with the dip pens, calligraphy, the fancy write, and the ink, very carefully. But since we can't do this at home, if you have fill tips, use those. Now, I've done the trace of and then I'm going to do, here we go. Okay, there we go. Bring this in. So I'm going to flip from this right now to this. I'm going to start with the first steps. So looking at the few lines I've done, I want to curve some of these guys here. I want to give this texture. Texture, remember, it makes it look either smooth or rough. Remember we did the 5 fingers of texture? Okay, so that's what we're doing right now. So this means it's going to be more, and you can use dots too. If you want to use dots, they actually work much better. So for the leather, I would do the dots. And you can do this with this control 1, see that? And even down here. So put a few lines here more, and I'm just tracing this. I'm not erasing my lines yet. Okay, so cool. So let's put this cover here. So I'm using stippling. I'm using the dots. Okay, but I'm also using lines. I'm combining both methods. And the reason we teach you guys this, let's say if you want to get a job in printing, work at a printer shop, and your boss says, "Look, this guy wants to open up a bookstore. Can you create a model for him?" So you're like, "Oh, wait, I did this in high school." And don't tell that to your boss. Oh, I'm taking this in my program. So right now, these inks, I'm actually doing lines right now. So I'm going to darken this side. This side is going to be more darker. And here's going to be my rib. I'm using a mix of lines and stippling here. And I'm making this look 3D because, and my lines. So if you need to use the ruler, go for it. I should use the ruler, but I kind of already vision this. So I'm going to use lines. Put this in, put it in here. Okay, now if you also have a Sharpie, we could use a Sharpie too. And I'll show you how to use the Sharpie later on. Okay, now we're going to do what's called a blend. Instead of hatching and cross-hatching and stippling for value, we're going to learn, except I wouldn't advise it if you ever own your own print shop and you have old printing. That uses a lot of ink when you blend. This is why we came up with hatching and cross-hatching. So right now I'm using a mix of stippling and lines. So for the leather, I'm going to have a piece here. There we go. And I'm going to do some lines here. Very skinny, and overlap 2 here. There we go, to make it look like the sheets of paper. Okay, they've been bind together, but for some reason the leather cover is no longer holding this book anymore. Okay, cool. See that? Same thing here. I'm going to use the line here to emphasize this with my sheets of paper. Start. And I'm going to use this whole pen until it dries up. So I don't got too many. There we go. The texture of the sheets of paper. Have I done this? Here we go. Emphasize the book. There we go. And there's a bump here. I'm going to leave this a little bit over here open and emphasize. The line here, there is going to be a few cross-hatching lines here. So first step, to encourage, go this way. Let me do this line here too to emphasize. And I'm not doing it with a ruler because I want it to look, see that? See how it's coming along? Okie dokie. This is what an old protective strip that's no longer working. Okay, cool. That kind of works there. I'm using hatching lines here according to the instructions. I did that, and I'm having some contrast. And again, if you need to use pencils first, let's erase some of these lines. We don't need them anymore. They're just a bit of a nuisance. So now what I'm going to do is I thought I was done with the pencil, but no. I'm going to use this to do my my parallel lines down here. Maybe another soft here. You guys can see what I'm doing. I'm doing these lines right now. See that, guys? But I'm using my guide. Let's see, yeah. Still the spot. Now, never get rid of. I always used to say, never get rid of your vanishing points. And it's sorry, guys. It's easier for me just to do it this way. I'm right-handed. If you're left-handed, if you're left-handed, folks, you're free to flip it to the other side. Please do whatever works best for your hands and your brain. You know, we all know how the brains work. So let's do this. There we go. Okay. Do I have to follow these lines? No, there's kind of like lines of direction. So I'm going to use these for texture. So looking at this, I'm not going to do them straight out like the pencil. I'm going to skip around. And the reason is I'm going to do this. See that, guys? Maybe some dots. Maybe another one here. One that goes what? So basically, I want the lines to curve a little bit. We're adding texture to the leather. Okay, because we're going to overlap. There's a lot of overlapping here. Now, I want to emphasize the line here. There we go. Bring that here too. Do we do that line? There's a little bit of a line here, but then it stops. Then it may be here. So it goes here, goes there. Got to be careful about the other book that's up here. Later on, we're going to go the different direction. Okie dokie. So done that. Here, it's going to be probably more emphasized right here. Because we want this to be contrast to this. Maybe here too, but not too much. There we go. So now that I've done that, okay, so we've done this. Let's work. We have this guy up here. Now, let's finish the pages down here. I'll show you how to do the pages. I'm skipping around, trying to make some sections much darker. And I'm arching some lines down here. I'm arching them. So the devil is in the detail. So here are the sheets of paper that might come loose if they don't fix this book. It's a shame when they let beautiful books with good, if they're good story or good history, go to waste. Or even old science books, even though they're becoming inaccurate, they do. So notice how my lines are coming out. I don't want to cover all of them dark. Skip around, and there are my sheets of paper. See that? So now, oh boy, emphasize the crack portion. I'm going through the line again. Can you guys see that now? And these guys are going to go. Now, the set is, you got to let it dry. Don't erase yet because it's going to smudge. I have the book on top still. If you look at the samples there, I'm going to go with this guy right now. I'm going to start arching this. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of half arches or quarter arches down here to emphasize, just like stipling, but except I'm arching the lines. Let it know that this is where the contrast of the next book starts. Then bring the sheet here. There we go. The book cover. There we go. And there's the bend here. You guys can see that. And I am studying my steps right now. Am I done with the top one yet? No, because I got to do these lines. But I want to emphasize where my other book is at. Also, I got to remember there's going to be a little bit of shadow more on this side because of the sheets of paper. There we go. So bring this up here. I'm still using the same, maybe some dots here to create some contrast of the book cover. Now I could, sometimes you're not, should left more lines down there, but that's okay. It should be a little bit darker here because this is the shadow from the book on top. Gotta be careful. There we go. A little bit here, not too much. I think we're good with this guy, but let's finish the one down here. So let's go on to the next. So let's finish the book binding here. Okay. Okay, good, good, good. So now we're going to have our lines go this way. Let's finish the bottom book first, so one won't smudge. So I am actually arching the lines. It'll be easier for me if I arch this way. I go from the line, and if you see, with a ballpoint ink pen, okay, am I doing the bottom two? Yes, I have to do the bottom two. There we go. So I gotta darken this a bit more down here. So these lines are going, the sheets of paper, remember, they're going vertical. Okay, I mean not vertical, they're going horizontal. And whereas the broken is going vertical from the top to the bottom, and they're being arched too. So I'm arching these a bit more, darkening them too to emphasize my shadow. I'm not doing that on the rib. Let's darken this a bit more. Okay, so it's getting there. See that? Now I want to leave these sheets of paper much darker for contrast to emphasize. This is the part. This is the darker part of my sheets of paper. This is where the shadow gets darker. Little details like that. So okay, it's kind of okay. So we have this covered too. There we go. That's where broken. Come back. We'll come back to that one much later. So do this and then give the texture up here. There we go. So I'm going to show you how to trick, since we cannot use our calligraphy pens while we're here. And I want to use this. Think of this as your surgeon pen, your scalpel. We're going for the fine deep cuts. Here we go. Emphasize the line here. Do the binding here. And I want to do this first. Maybe leave some contrast. Okay, good, good, good. And let's continue working down here to the little rib. Not all ribs are even because it could have been a very old book that needs to be restored. There we go here. Remember, this is at a distance, so we can't have too much detail back here. And then bring your lines going this way. Down here. Okay, again, right here. Since this part of the spine of the book is not broken. There we go. And that's the stuff I used to love when I was in grad school, going into not the going into the archives, the library, not where the undergrads, the ones who were working on their bachelors, were allowed to, where the guys working on their PhDs and masters. That was my favorite. And touching stuff that was so dusty that I started coughing. So now again, I'm using. Notice I'm spraying these ones on top more because that's the texture and the light, the cracks on the leather, you know. So the bottom should be a little bit darker, whereas the ones on top should be a little bit more spread out. There we go. I'm going back to the bottom where my shadow is a little bit more. Maybe I won't need the Sharpie. I thought I was going to. So I skipped around. Now here's the part, the ribs. We don't really want to add. We want to add more shadow back here to the rib because it's farther away. Our light source seems to be coming from this side, from the top, from here where my hand's coming from. That's where supposedly our light source is coming from. And again, here is the broken portion of the book. Okay, and this part, and here are the broken sheets of paper, or not. Soon enough, lines are going to start becoming loose if we don't. They're going to have to probably remove the binding and the rib, put a rebuilt one using the old materials and new materials. So let's go in here. There we go. Yeah. So I think I'm going to stop here. See that? So now we're going to do the broken gaps here. There's a broken gap of the book. 1, 2, around here. There's a broken gap here. And now if you have a Sharpie like I do, and maybe there's another one over here. This is where it starts darkening. Let me finish with the ribs. I'm going to put a few lines here where the ribs are at. Just a few. To let it know there's texture there. And they're broken. This is being broken. So save myself some ink from my pen. I don't know how much I might have. If you have a Sharpie at home, and use the tip very carefully. Here we go. So this is going to blot it out. Now, what I mean blending, I'm not a big fan of blending because I love texture more as a painter. This is so grabbing this, you can do that if you want to blend, but be very careful. I'm not a big fan of it because I like texture more. But there you guys go, and maybe bring it down here too. The reason it bleeds into the paper, so I'm going deep into there. That kind of helped a little bit. I think I'm done. I don't want to use too much of this, and I got to find my other fill tips because I'm like, I just bought them a while ago. So, and then maybe go use lines here. Now, I do have this cover here, so using this, I could go lines going this way for contrast. And I'm going to use and have these guys almost be as thick as the bottom one. Very softly lets me know something here. See that? And I feel sad for this book, but what can we do about it? So if you think you're running low on your fill tip, you have an old fill tip, use your ballpoint ink, like for the details on the table here, which I'm going to do right now. And here is, let's just say here's the bottom of my table. I shouldn't have done that line. I just realized that. So do I have a broken line? Okay. I'm going to have to fix this with whiteout. Not supposed to. But, geez. Well, anyways, I'll fix that later. I'll figure this out somehow. So if you have a ballpoint like I do, a ballpoint works really good too. And it does, you can see this too up here. Here are my sheets of paper. And but I'm going to go back to the felt tip just to have the same texture as the other book. There we go. Now, I do not like to erase my pencil lines till I know they're fully dry. And I know it's not going to mess up my work. So let's finish this here. Overlap the sheets of paper here. Even if don't worry about them being, and then come back here. That's the trick to it. See that? Whoops. I should have done that first. So I'm going to do a very thick, trying to fix that mistake I did. I'm going to try to hide it. So artists do this. We problem solve all the time. There we go. So I can emphasize. And maybe use a little bit of arching lines down here. There we go. Thicken that up. We can see a distinction between the sheets of paper down here. Darken this a little bit more. There we go. Let me arch this a bit more. And the reason I'm arching, not going straight, is because I want it to look like there's a little bit of shadow down here. If you look at the samples here, guys, see that? See how there's shadow down there? And I'm using this. You just cannot just put flat lines. You're sculpting too. So here's the shadow of the first block. This guy might just go down this way. But I'm not going to go into that. Let's finish. We're pretty much done with the bottom block. And let me curve the line here and go here. There we go. So we want to curve this a bit more. There we go. This probably will be a little bit much more. There we go. That definitely changes the outlook to this book. So now, here's where we're going to create some contrast with this guy. This side's going to be a little bit darker. Okay, so I'm going to start arching my lines from down here. See that, guys? I'm going to start arching this way. And it's okay to move around like I do. It helps you out in the end. Got to study my... So follow the line. Okay. And then on top, I'm going to... But here's the deal. I want this top part. And we're going to have probably another rib here. That's probably where the... Okay, so I'm gonna leave this blank. But except I'm not gonna put a line. I'm gonna use lines, just that. And this is gonna go this way too. I'm gonna emphasize down here more the line. There we go. And I'm gonna have this. Something went wrong here, but that's okay. Okay, now lines will go this way. So this means this is going to go this like this. Emphasize that. And maybe start my lines here, the top, just to emphasize. And then another part here. So now that I'm doing this, and I did curve let me curve more lines here. Whoops, I'm not done with the sheets of paper here. Just realized that. There we go. Then come to the center, leave some of it blank here. Some more space, but there we go. I think that's good. We don't want to overdo this too much. See that, guys? I think it's time to call the Sharpie. So we're not drawing a line here. What we want to do is emphasize texture and light value. So I'm going to curve these because this is where the lights can get more. It's okay. Some of this stuff's going to go missing, but that's okay. And I'm using the pencil line, which I will erase. There we go. And let's see. So now using, wait. I'm not happy with this spot here, but do have a rib here. So let me emphasize this rib. Emphasize another rib here, the ones I can still see. There we go. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm going to use, looking at the sample here, guys, see that? Okay, so now I'm going to grab, this is the part that scares me the most, is the Sharpie. So this portion is probably going to be a little bit darker. Got to be very careful. I'm using the tip. There we go. So I'm using, this is how I am substituting the limitations. So this also helps you out more if you have the ballpoint ink. There we go. Except I want one of this. The center one's going to be darker. I don't have that much. So I'm going to bring this side much more. Yeah. And later on, I'm going to use my tip to fill in those gaps. There we go. I'm going to stop there. And now I'm going to come back to the fill tip with the fine tip. There we go. Fill in those sections down here. Okay, blend. I'm blending basically. There we go. Same thing here. So now I know where my shadow's at. Now here I just don't have a line. I'm creating an implied line. So this guy's going to be the darker one. There we go. Down here, bring it down here, Mr. Navas. There we go. So again, the Sharpie's a blunt tool, very clumsy, but you want to use, there we go. I think we're pretty good with this one now. So let's finish the top. So now with the top, we're going to have lines going this way. Okay, and I'm noticing some issues here. Okay, now remember when we erase our pencil lines, the stuff's going to disappear. In the past, I know some of my colleagues never let students do what I did with the pencil, but that's okay because we're in a situation. I'm trying to teach you these skills. I'm more geared towards printing for you guys. So now here's what I want to do. I'm going to outline the top of the book. Okay, see that? That's coming along. Okay, so now I'm kind of, and the reason is I did it with a ruler first and pencil, but now I'm letting my shakiness, thank God I drink coffee to give it that look. Okay, there you go. Gives it that texture, and patina, the patina texture of, grease and develop, and let's put more lines down here. Maybe not, maybe down here more to make it look like I actually did give it that broken look. There we go. Maybe a little bit here. It's breaking apart there. So now these lines are going to be going towards this direction. Right here. The texture of the leather. But something's going to happen here. Okay, so here it's going to darken more. But let's see. I'm looking at the steps. So it's going to curve here more. There we go. And I'm going to bring in the Sharpie again, which I'm not really happy about it, but we don't have, you guys do not have calligraphy pens or fill tip pens to work on this. And we'd have been doing Gothic letters too, or some Romanesque actually. Much older than Gothic. So now that I have the little tip one here, I want to darken this section back here more. There we go. This section is going to darken more. Lines are going to go this way. Bring them here. Spread these out more. Different portion of, but this side is going to darken more. Okay. And the back here, it's going to darken more. So I'm going to spread them out here more. Not so much here, because this is probably a special kind of cover. There we go. Okay, yeah. There we go. It's a darken back there. A little bit more lines here. That's okay, but not too much. Okay, so I'm still looking at the handout and grabbing my Sharpie, using the tip, the pointy tip here, and then I just kind of dab it, use stippling. And I'm going to have to use probably there we go. So I am using stippling with and then I'm going to have to blend this with my felt tip, because I wanted to, this is how so there we go. See that? So now I don't want to put too much, but grabbing my pencil, I'm sorry, this is the one I was using, yes. No, this one, it's warmer, I can tell. So now I'm using this. See that? There we go. And bring this here. And then here. I'm blending these in. That's part of the texture. That's okay. I know it's bleeding here, but now you could. This is perfect for printing. I know most printers, you know, and we're using hatching, cross hatching, and believe it or not, stipling. The reason is it uses a lot of ink when you blend. That's why. If you own your own print shop, you're gonna say, "Huh, let's just use hatching and cross hatching." No, or stipling, just because you don't want to use up all your ink. Yeah, let's see. And I think we're pretty much done. There we go. Okay, and maybe a little bit back here too, to emphasize. Spread these lines out a bit more. And I think we're done. So now grab your, oh, not truly done. Grabbing my ruler, I'm going to do my lines here. I'm using a ballpoint pen for 2 reasons. Did I do this in pencil? Yeah. No, I did it ink. So the shadow. So I'm going to have more shadow here. And I'm using a ballpoint ink pen for cross hatching. There we go. Also, always leave the contrast, okay? The gap of contrast. But figure out how you want your shadow. So I have more than one light source. I have a light source coming from this direction, but as well as from the other end. So I'm using hatching, but also want to imply texture down here. Spread out my lines. Darken this side more. Sometimes you don't have to do a line. You want to think. And then hatching here for texture. Spread it out. Not too much. Maybe from here. Okay, more hatching here. Overlap it. Blend it with the shadow if you need to. You can go also, although I don't advise you to do that. Let me finish the shadow here. There we go. It's a lot of work, I know. I'm kind of like, and it's Sunday too. Put some here. This where more light is going here. Oh boy. Yeah, so it's getting there. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave it here because sometimes when I do too much, that's when it gets messed up. I'm going to erase it. That's what I mean. Okay, erase my pencil lines. To erase, not give a clue. Let people think I did this out of scratch. There we go. Whoops, leaves, yeah, you can brag. There you guys go. So anyways, I prefer doing this with the calligraphy ink, but there you guys go. So that's our assignment for this week for Art 2. I will scan the instructions for you guys. Start off with this. Good morning. Let me talk to you guys. We start off from this, and notice how my hair was from out of the shower was all nice and combed. There you guys. Started off with this. We follow the procedures, the steps, and we got this. There you guys go. We're done. Okay. You get your ink drawing of 2 books. Um, I don't know where my brand new fill tip pens are at, but that's the lovey. Also, if you want to watercolor it afterwards, show me. Uh, whoops, my hair looks really bad. My The guy who cuts my hair, and his mom, who does my mom's hair, they had a closed shop. They're not. They got sick with yeah. But anyways, um, here's the deal. If you want to watercolor it, but make sure you turn in black and white. And if you want to watercolor it afterwards, go for it. But I need to see it in black and white first. So take a picture of it in black and white, submit it. And then if you want to color it, paint it, you can do that too. So this is what many artists do. They do it first in ink. They become really good. They don't do the pencil thing like I showed you guys. And then they do it this way. You can barely see the lines. So, and then they water. And like I said, all I need is the drawing. It's a drawing. I don't want to see the watercolor version. But if you want to share it with me later, make sure you can do that if you want. God, I really do need a haircut, but it's hey, I'm just grateful I got my vaccine. Although you have to be careful what you read on the news. So we started off, I followed the steps. The only thing I did differently than them is I did this. I did the horizon line, drew my first bottom book. That's all what it is, and then I did one on top. You seen? I used the other ones further away to do the top one. It saves you a lot of time. I wish they would have shown that as a step, but they don't. And that's it. I'm going to advise you guys try to do that unless you have a really good eye, which I'll be honest, some of you guys are developing it. Others don't have it yet. Some of you guys do have it. So again, that's the trick to it, guys. If you have calligraphy ink and a dip pen or a calligraphy pen, do it that way. It's much more funner. If you can. If you're going to be in the classroom with me, you might be doing it that way. I just don't have enough to share with everybody, both both periods of art too. So use a felt tip pen. You can use a ballpoint ink pen if you don't have calligraphy pen and Indian ink, or you don't have a felt tip pen and Sharpie. Make it work with a ballpoint ink pen. Believe it or not, I've done it in the past. When I find myself sketching in my little journal books, I do that with ballpoint ink. I've done some really good work, and that's it. Okay, it's taken me an hour and 3 minutes, but remember, I had to go make a copy, so it's less than probably close to an hour. Okay, guys, talk to you later. Bye.